First of all, Joe Biden is not in charge of the government. This is called Biden's menu. You can look this up too. There are 457 Jews who are running the Biden administration. They're the people who are in charge, okay? So there's no point in talking about Joe Biden. We have to be able to identify these people, and we have to call them out and hold them responsible for it.
That's just yesterday. Far-right commentator Jason Whitlock hosted author E. Michael Jones on his show, who launched into an almost cartoonishly evil and anti-Semitic rant about Jewish people. How did Whitlock respond? By nodding along and then calling Jones fearless. We're gonna watch more of the reprehensible anti-Semitism in a moment, but first, here's a little info on Jones, courtesy of the Anti-Defamation League. Jones describes Jews as, quote, outlaws and subversives who use religion as a cover for social revolution, and claims that Judaism possesses a particularly malignant spirit. Jones credits Jews with orchestrating occurrences as varied and disconnected from the Jewish experience as the Protestant Reformation and the French Revolution. He also blames Jews for Bolshevism, Freemasonry, and an alleged contemporary Jewish takeover of American culture. Jones argues that mass killings of Jews throughout history have been understandable reactions to Jewish beliefs and behavior. He goes so far as to justify Eastern European pogroms and even the Nazi Holocaust on these grounds, to justify those things. So that's the kind of trash disgustingness that Jones is. And with that background, here's more of his horrifying rant on Whitlock's show.
I'm going to take this, especially if you're black, because the blacks have suffered more in this regard than any other group in this country. And I'm talking about the beginning of this with the Harlem Renaissance, which I've written about in detail. The Jews took over the blacks early on. They created an institution called the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. The Jews had taken control of the black population. They destroyed black nationalism under Marcus Garvey, and then they created this plantation for black people known as sexual liberation. It was called jazz. It was called the Harlem Renaissance. It was always some Jew determining how you were supposed to be as a black man.
Damn Jews for making the blacks do jazz, is what this guy just said. He then went on to say that celebrities like Dave Chappelle and Kanye West are being yanked around by some vague group of elite Jewish people. Yes, Kanye West is doing great work on our behalf.
Exactly what I was gonna say.
My God.
Exactly what I was gonna say.
Whitlock had the chance to condemn that garbage, and this is what he did instead.
But there's one thing you can't say, and that's what he said, the Jews. You can't say it, You're not allowed to put those two words together. That was a profound statement on the part of Dave Chappelle.
Mr. Jones, you are fearless. You are fearless. My God. And I know there'll be some people, well, how you gonna let this man? The man is speaking facts, and I know the intent of what he just said, and I got no problem with it.
Never trust a political commentator in a bow tie. Cenk?
Yeah, man, there's a lot there. Okay, so look, main thing here is, okay, the guy, Jones is a kook, we got it, right? Horrible, anti-Semitic loser, right? Idiot. I mean, look at the things he says. So we're supposed to blame the Jews for jazz? How about a thank you? Okay, if in fact the Jews somehow invented jazz, gave it to black people, and then black people used it to, bring joy to the world. Oh, the damn Jews. Sexual liberation, that was the Jews? Nice work. Okay.
Yeah, we have no problem with that.
My own sex life disproves that theory.
So, and then Jewish Americans helped in the civil rights movement, arguably more than any other group did, okay? And then he twists that to, they deviously set up the NAACP to help black people, which actually hurts black people. He's not even trying to make sense, right? So, so he's not the relevant guy here. Jason Whitlock, unfortunately, is slightly relevant in right-wing circles. Yeah. He's a relatively well-known right-wing figure. Stephen A. Smith just launched into him about a week ago, and that went viral.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, Whitlock and I have gone back and forth a couple of times, but I'm not going to do it anymore because this guy's. What am I going to argue with a Nazi? I don't, right? So. Yeah, and for a second there, as he's rolling his eyes and stuff, I thought, oh, he's messing with him and he's gonna say at the end, no, this guy's a nut, sorry for having him on. No, he said it was facts and that he had the right intent. What's the right intent? That's the right intent. Intent for what? Intent to spread hatred, et cetera, et cetera. My point is Whitlock's on the Blaze. So that's Glenn Beck's network. Yep. So you guys okay with this? Now look, guys, there's bounds of reason, right? I know I don't like cancel culture. I've been canceled 18 different times, et cetera. And I don't like it when the left does it. I don't like it when the right does it, et cetera. But there has to be some line, right? There has to be some line. So is Whitlock allowed to go back on the air tomorrow and then tell his audience again about how the Jews are deviously controlling blacks into creating amazing art? I don't know, right? But like that's the funny part because it's so absurd and over the top, right? But the essence of it is not remotely funny. And how many people believe that? Because Whitlock told them, yeah, that makes sense. This guy's right. So Glenn Beck's about to tell us who he is because either you're going to do something bad. And by the way, guys. And then after they say horrible things about any particular group, and if they're fired, then they go, you see, they're controlling people. Yeah. No, brother, it isn't because they're controlling people. It's because you said something horrible. And I hope the same would have been the result if you said it about any group of people. But if you don't, do anything about this, you're basically saying it's perfectly okay. And so, you tell us, the Blaze and Glenn Beck, who are you?
I mean, this is a practice where, unfortunately, Jason Whitlock, who used to be a sports commentator, which is what I remembered him as being, has become a powerful force because of pushing fringe views, right? And I guess it gets to, when we look at this particular segment, it's sort of the attempt to tear other people away from their solidarity with all people who have been violated throughout history and in an ongoing way, including Jewish peoples, right? So like, you think about someone like Ta-Nehisi Coates on the other hand, who kind of said, we black people need to stand with all people who are oppressed. I mean, he was speaking about Palestinians most recently, but I think that's the larger sort of thing. So, I guess the question I have, sort of always the bigger question, is how did we reach this point in this country and with our media ecosystems and social media where fringe voices, by being as fringy and outrageous and at times hateful as possible, gives you a brand, right?
Yeah,
it didn't used to be that way,
It's really sad, and I can also just quote Martin Luther King Jr. when he said that anti-Zionism is anti-Semitism, and that's just a code word for the two. And you just see it spreading these days so strongly when anybody who is afraid to say things about the Jewish people, they say it about Zionists, and which basically is just Israel's right to exist. And so it's really scary. It's been the most disconcerting thing in the last 3 months that I've seen. Started with Kanye's rant a couple of years ago when I went off here about how I knew so clearly that he was going to be empowering millions of anti-Semites more, and Trump did so much for that as well. And then October 7th happened, and it has unleashed such hatred and every single negative stereotype and assumption and attack on the Jewish people on both sides. They're both not white enough that they were exterminated for that cause in the Holocaust, but then they're also white supremacists. I mean, there's not even any common sense thread between these attacks. It just is any insecurity that any people have, any ill in society. It's blamed on us for some reason, but it's okay. I just texted George Soros and had Whitlock canceled. So.
Oh, okay, then we're done. No, don't say that, because then if they actually fire him, they're going to take it.
It's going to go viral.
I don't know. Believe me, if I had any control over anything in the media, my career would be a lot further.
It's
a great point you were going to say.
I was going to say that.
You're not wrong.
But no, guys, think about it. Why isn't I mean, I don't. We do have to debate these guys, but then why isn't every Jewish person the most successful person on earth?
Yeah.
Why did the council leave them behind? Okay, so it's insanity. It's total insanity. So I'm going to say one last thing about these guys. Notice Whitlock said that Jones was fearless. Now think about what that implies. That implies the Jews are in control and they're going to get him canceled. And so he's so brave for saying these things, right? So Whitlock definitely believes those anti-Semitic tropes, conspiracy theories, etc. I mean, he couldn't be any clearer. So, okay, you keep him on there. I get it. Look, it's your business, but buyer beware. Apparently, that's the kind of stuff that happens on The Blaze.
Thanks for watching. If you become a member, you get to watch all this ad-free, except for, of course, this ad. Still, hit the join button below.